Taiwan's future is often portrayed as a simple clash between the United States and China, but the reality is far more complex. Power in the Western Pacific is shaped less by political rhetoric and more by military forces already deployed at sea, warships, aircraft, and surveillance systems ready for immediate action. In any potential conflict, the decisive factor would be the forces positioned nearby from the start. Among them, Japan has emerged as an increasingly important player. Once mainly a logistical supporter, Japan is taking on a more active strategic role led by its Izumo-class ships, JS Izumo and JS Kaga, which signal a significant shift in its military influence in the region. A transformation in Japanese naval power. Originally built as helicopter destroyers, the Izumo-class vessels have undergone extensive modifications that allow them to operate as light aircraft carriers. Today, these ships can deploy advanced short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft, including the American-made F-35B Lightning II stealth fighter. This upgrade marks a historic development for Japan, enabling it to project air power far beyond its own territory without relying exclusively on U.S. aircraft carriers. These ships are not merely platforms for aircraft. They serve multiple strategic functions, including anti-submarine warfare, coordination of multinational naval operations, and defense of critical maritime routes. Their presence strengthens security across the First Island chain, a key strategic zone stretching from Japan through Taiwan and down to the Philippines. China's rapid naval expansion, including plans for multiple aircraft carriers, has heightened regional tensions. In response, Japan's growing naval capabilities introduce a new dimension of deterrence. The continuous presence of the Izumo-class carriers contributes to the balance of power in the Western Pacific, not through dramatic displays of force, but through practical operational readiness. The strategic importance of the Taiwan Strait. At first glance, the Taiwan Strait appears to be a relatively narrow stretch of water separating Taiwan from mainland China. In reality, it represents one of the world's most strategically complex military environments. Any crisis in this region would likely extend beyond a simple confrontation between China and Taiwan. Japan's military bases in Okinawa, U.S. facilities in Guam, Australian surveillance aircraft, and South Korean defense systems could all become part of the equation. A conflict in the Taiwan Strait would quickly evolve into a multi-layered regional operation involving several allied nations. The decisive factor would be how rapidly these forces could coordinate and respond. Japan's geographic location gives it a particularly important role. The distance from Japan's Ryukyu Islands to northern Taiwan is less than 700 kilometers, making this area a critical gateway to the Pacific Ocean. Control of this corridor allows Allied forces to access the region quickly or restrict access if necessary. For decades, Japan largely served as a supporting base for U.S. operations, but recent policy and military developments suggest a shift toward greater strategic independence, from helicopter destroyers to aircraft carriers. The Izumo-class ships were initially designed to serve as anti-submarine warfare platforms. Their primary mission involved deploying helicopters to track enemy submarines, coordinating naval formations, and supporting humanitarian operations. The vessels feature large hangars, expansive flight decks, and advanced command systems, design choices that later made their conversion into aircraft carriers feasible. Even during construction, some analysts suspected the ships were built with future aircraft operations in mind. Their structure allowed for the potential integration of fixed-wing aircraft, although this capability was not publicly emphasized at the time. The eventual decision to modify the ships for F-35B operations represented a fundamental shift in Japan's defense strategy. The modernization process included strengthening the flight deck to withstand the extreme heat produced by vertical landings, redesigning the ship's bow to improve aircraft operations, and upgrading fuel storage systems for jet aviation fuel. New communication systems compatible with U.S. military networks were also installed, allowing seamless coordination with Allied forces. Additionally, the ship's elevators and maintenance facilities were modified to handle heavier fighter aircraft. These changes ensured that the vessels could function as fully operational carriers rather than experimental platforms. operational capabilities, and air wing composition. The Izumo-class carriers can support a variety of aircraft configurations depending on mission requirements. They may carry a combination of F-35B fighters and SH-60K Seahawk helicopters for anti-submarine operations. In certain configurations, the ships can deploy around a dozen fighter jets alongside multiple helicopters for reconnaissance and maritime defense. While their air wings are smaller than those of U.S. supercarriers such as the Nimitz or Gerald R. Ford classes, the Izumo-class ships provide significant regional capability. Their proximity to potential conflict zones allows them to maintain continuous air patrols, conduct surveillance, and protect naval convoys. Anti-submarine operations remain a key function. China's naval strategy relies heavily on submarines, making underwater detection and tracking essential. Helicopters equipped with sonar systems and anti-submarine weapons enable the Izumo-class ships to monitor and secure critical sea routes between Japan and Taiwan. Limitations and strategic vulnerabilities. Despite their capabilities, the Izumo-class carriers are not designed to operate independently in high-intensity combat. Their onboard defensive systems are relatively limited, consisting mainly of close-range weapons designed for last-resort protection. As a result, the ships depend heavily on escort vessels and allied forces for long-range defense. The F-35B aircraft they operate also have certain limitations. Compared with conventional carrier-based fighters, these aircraft carry smaller payloads and have shorter operational ranges. Additionally, the carriers lack catapult launch systems, which restricts the types of aircraft they can deploy. Political considerations also influence Japan's military operations. The country's post-World War II constitution emphasizes pacifism, and public opinion remains cautious about participation in combat operations. Any decision to deploy these carriers in active conflict would involve significant political debate. Finally, the limited number of ships presents another challenge. With only 2 vessels in the class, the loss or disablement of even one would significantly reduce Japan's operational capacity. Integration within Allied defense networks. The effectiveness of the Izumo-class carriers increases dramatically when operating alongside Allied forces. Japan's Aegis-equipped destroyers provide long-range air defense, while U.S. surveillance aircraft contribute reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. American bombers and support aircraft based in Guam can extend the operational reach of carrier-based fighters. Australia contributes anti-submarine and maritime capabilities, and South Korea provides logistical support, maintenance facilities, and security for communication networks. Within this multinational framework, the Izumo-class ships function as central command platforms, coordinating operations across multiple domains. This distributed defense approach creates significant challenges for potential adversaries. Instead of targeting a single asset, opponents would need to confront an integrated network of forces operating across vast distances. A shift in Japan's strategic identity. For Japan, the Izumo-class carriers symbolize a broader transformation in national defense policy. For decades after World War II, Japan maintained a strictly defensive military posture. The development of aircraft carrier capabilities signals a shift toward greater strategic autonomy and regional responsibility. The ability to deploy air power from mobile sea-based platforms provides Japan with flexibility that land-based airfields cannot offer. It reduces reliance on vulnerable infrastructure and enhances rapid response capabilities during crises. More broadly, these ships reflect changing security dynamics in East Asia. As regional tensions increase, Japan is assuming a more prominent role in maintaining stability and supporting Allied operations. Redefining the balance of power in the Pacific, the presence of even a single Izumo-class carrier near Taiwan could significantly influence the strategic environment. By providing air cover, surveillance, and anti-submarine defense, these ships would complicate military planning for any adversary. Their ability to support Allied operations and ensure access to key maritime routes strengthens the overall deterrence framework in the region. Rather than serving as instruments of aggressive expansion, the Izumo-class vessels represent a shift toward proactive defense and regional security cooperation. They embody Japan's transition from a nation focused solely on homeland defense to one capable of contributing actively to regional stability. If you found this breakdown of Japan's Izumo-class carriers and the shifting balance of power in the Pacific insightful, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into global strategy, military technology, and world affairs.